Here today as we celebrate one more time the birth of Jesus Christ during this holiday season, and as that gift, as that video said, we've all received gifts. Some of us have given some questionable gifts in our lifetime. I remember the first Christmas gift, one of the first Christmas gifts, I think it was actually the second year that I got Shanda, was a shoulder massager. And the reason I thought that it would be a good gift is because she was always talking about how tight her shoulders were and always wanted me to give her shoulder rubs. And I thought, well, this way she can just get it anytime she wants, you know. And actually, it was actually a back massager, so it didn't even reach her shoulders. But and I realized later that she wanted her boyfriend to rub her shoulders, and later her husband to rub her shoulders. Not in the weird way, just a shoulder rub. Okay, people, get your minds out of the gutter. So I learned. But then I've given some good ones. I'm not going to brag on. Well, I will brag on myself a little bit. I think I did pretty good for Christmas this year. We already did our gift exchange. I know I got some good presents this year. I'm wearing a couple of them. I've got this shirt from my sister-in-law for Christmas this year, and I got this knife from my future brother-in-law this year. It was pretty cool. I realized as I'm getting older, as I'm growing up, the way that my gift list has changed just in the last couple of years. Like 2 years ago, for Christmas I got a classic game system, a Sega, and I got an old game I loved from high school on a PS2, and that was like my Christmas list. Okay, and like this year, I wanted a drill, and I wanted a knife, and I wanted jeans and shirts and things like that. And a wallet. I got a new wallet for Christmas, and I was like, yes. I've got a new baby too. That's definitely a grown-up thing. That should not be a teenage gift. Grown-up gift, new babies, okay? But I realized that my gift list has changed, and I got this awesome drill from Shanda this year. It's called a Hammerhead. So it's drill, and it's got a lithium battery, but then you flip it over. It's got a magnetic attachment that you put a nail on, and boom, 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 it hammers a nail for you. It's awesome. It's awesome. I heard them say, we no matter your faith, if you count your year this year as the year 2015, and you count next year as the year 2016, then even if you don't believe in Jesus, you are at least admitting that He has some kind of influence in your life. Because the way that you count time, the way that you count months and years, is based around the estimated birth date of Jesus Christ when He physically came into this world. And so even if you don't believe in Him, He's impacted your life. He's impacted our culture. He's impacted this country. A lot of the values that are being put in place in this country came from the Christian faith. And you can debate me all day on that, but it's the honest truth. It's relevant there. Okay, and so we all have that influence. But I want us to understand today that it's more than just an influence. Jesus Christ, His birth was a gift to us. That came so long ago. But we celebrate during this time of the year a lot of things, and over the last few weeks I've been over here looking at the Christmas tree and doing my best to attempt to put toppers on it. As you can see, this year this week we didn't even put anything on there. I'm done trying with the toppers, and now this week my lights aren't working. And first I had an angel that did not want to fly, and it just right on the ground. And then I had a star that did not want to shine, so it got stuck in the middle of the tree. And this week we have lights that aren't working. And the funny thing about this is I've already had this problem this year. We bought brand new lights for our house to put on our front deck. And I was so excited to put lights up this year. And that's different for me because I don't like putting lights up outside. We didn't do that a lot growing up when I was a kid. One year my dad made this big cross like this, and it shined, and it was awesome. But other than that, we didn't do a lot of outdoor lights. And so when I got married and Shanda wanted to do that, my first experience with it was horrible, and I never wanted to do it again. But I thought, yes, we'll do it this year. And so we put these lights up, and they're working just fine. And I pick one up, and I drop it back on the ground, and like 6 lights just stop working. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I start twisting bulbs, and I finally get it to start working. I lay it down again, and it stops working. I pick it up, I twist bulbs, I lay it down again, it stops working. And this time, it doesn't come back on. So needless to say, we have one set of lights that's broken sitting inside. We have another set of lights that's taped on one side of our deck and laying on the ground. And that's about as far as I got this year. So it is what it is. But, so we got problems with our lights here this year. I'm not really sure. I mean, they've been working over the last couple of weeks, but I know that there's got to be something. There's got to be something that can put some light in this tree. And as I think about this, as I think about this tree needing to be lit, and I look in here, if you get up close where I can see, you can see it's pretty dark in the middle. I can see where you don't put ornaments inside. You would never know they were there. They would be there for 5 Christmases. You never know they existed. But there's a lot of darkness in need of light. And really, this being not lit compared to the rest of our room feels a little out of place. And it reminds me a lot, not even actually of the Christmas story, but it actually reminds me of creation. Because if you look back in the book of Genesis, you will see that in the very beginning, there was darkness. There was darkness not just in the world. The world was void. There was nothing. There was no life yet. But the world was void, and the universe was darkness. And with God's words, very quickly, He just simply said, "Let there be light." And with the words of God, with the breath of God, light came into the world. You can bring the big lights up for me now. With simple words, with simple action, at the very beginning of time, before even the existence of man, God said, "Let there be light," and light came into the world. Fast forward a little bit, and He creates the world. He creates the universe. He creates the heavens and the earth. He creates the water and the animals and everything. And then He creates mankind. He creates a man, and then out of man He creates a woman as a companion for man. And don't ever forget, men, that women were created because we were lonely. Okay, so so He creates humanity, and He has this perfect creation in place, and the light that shines over it. And there's not just a physical light in the world. There's this emotional and spiritual light in the world, because the world did not know sin. Humanity had never felt sin, ever. And so there was not just a physical light shining from the sun, but there was an emotional light, there was a spiritual light, there was this presence of God in the history of mankind. But then all of a sudden man falls. We make bad choices, we sin, we lie, we hide from God, we lose our gift of the garden. And with that, the first speck of darkness begins to make its way into the world. And so then we fast forward to Cain and Abel, and through the first murder, more darkness comes into the world. And we keep going, and we see idol worship, and we see people who betray each other and lie and do all these things, and more and more and more and more darkness comes into the world. So now what I want us to do is I want us to fast forward a ways, and let's move up now to the story of Jesus Christ. And what I want to do really quick, before we really get into the meat of what we're going to be talking about today, I want to look in the book of John. And if you've been reading the Christmas story over the last few weeks, you most likely have been in the books of Matthew and Luke. Because in the books of Matthew and Luke, you find the Christmas story, the different pieces of it, from the story of Mary and Joseph and the wise men and the shepherds and everything, right? If you look in Mark, you don't see the Christmas story. He picks up at the baptism of Jesus. So you probably haven't been over there. If you have been, you're lost. Turn around, get a GPS, try again, okay? But we're going to look actually in the story of John. And you might think to yourself, well, the story of the birth of Jesus isn't in the book of John either. But the truth is that if we look at John, we will see a part of the story of the birth of Jesus that we can't see in Matthew or Luke. Because it doesn't give detail to the place, it doesn't give detail to the time or the surroundings in the world. It doesn't give details to who showed up at the birth of Jesus. But what it does do is it gives us this backdrop of what the world was like and why Jesus came into this world and what His purpose was. And so we see in John chapter 1 at verse 5, it says this: "In the beginning was the Word." And in this case, the name Word, you'll see, is capitalized. That's because it's another name for Jesus. So in the beginning was Jesus. So this isn't even His birth yet. What this is telling us is that Jesus is a part of God. Okay? There is one God who is so big, so powerful, He has 3 parts. And Jesus is a part of that God. And He was there since the beginning of time. When the darkness was in the world, Jesus was there. And it says this next. It says, "And the Word was with God." So He was God. He was a part of God. He's there. And the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. And listen to this. At verse 3 it says, all things were made through Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of man. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Now, verse 3, all things were made through Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. So what we are told here is that Jesus was there in the beginning as a part of God. And Jesus isn't just a part of God who brought light into the world. Now, He is the part of God who created us. Not just saved us, but created us. He was the one in action. So when God said, when the Father said, let there be light, it was Jesus who, for the first time in history, pierced through darkness and created light. So now we fast forward to today, and we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Why? Not because He was actually born in December. Historically, He was probably born in the spring, okay? He wasn't even actually born during this time of the year. Okay, we took over a holiday from a false religion hundreds of years ago and made it our own. That's what Christianity did, because the guys from that false religion started following Christianity. So we celebrate it not because it's His actual birthday. We don't celebrate it because just to get gifts and to give gifts and because it's snowing and Santa Claus and blah, 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 blah. We celebrate it because for the first time in history, back at creation, Jesus was the one who pierced through the darkness with light. We put darkness back in the world through sin. Humanity did. And God said, I have got to create light again. So once again, in the history of man, God said, let there be light. And Jesus came into the world, was born. And with His birth, it says in verse 4, in Him was life, and the life was the light of man. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know about you, but I never really looked at that part of the story and thought, that's the Christmas story. Because when I think of the Christmas story, I'm thinking of shepherds, and I'm thinking of wise men, and I'm thinking about barns, and I'm thinking about cows and donkeys and Bethlehem. I don't think about about creation and this supernatural aspect of it. But the reality is that there really is more to it than the physical birth of Christ. Because with that birth, this whole world began to change. And I don't know about you, but when I look at 1 John, or I look at John chapter 1, I wonder if maybe sometimes at Christmas, if even when we look at the story of the birth of Jesus, if our focus isn't off just a little bit. Because I agree 100% with reading every bit of the story of the birth of Christ in Matthew and Luke. In fact, I challenge some of you guys, especially parents, to sit down and read that story with your kids and make sure they know everything that was involved. And as they get older, they will learn what it all means, because there's so much depth to it. But it doesn't just stop with the wise men. It doesn't just stop with even more than that when they leave and they flee from a king trying to kill them. It doesn't just stop from when they leave Egypt and they return home and Jesus is a teenager and he later becomes an adult. It doesn't stop there. It was actually the beginning of something great and amazing in this world. It was the beginning of light piercing into the darkness for our sake. And so I want us today, what I want us to do, and I'm not really going to be very long, okay? Because I just want to be short and sweet and to the point about why we're here. And then I want us to go out with that point into the world, okay? So we think about everything this Christmas is about. And I love Christmas. I love the gifts. I love giving gifts, getting gifts. I love decorating the tree. I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas music. Not that it's not good, but it's worn out. In my list of songs that I'm tired of listening to, Jesus Take the Wheel is number one. And I'm sorry, my wife loves Carrie Underwood. It's her favorite, but I cannot stand that song anymore. I counsel youth camps, and every little girl between the age of 9 and 12 has been singing that song as a Sunday night, as a worship night special for like 10 years now. And it's like, oh my goodness. So you got Jesus Take the Wheel, and then underneath that is every Christmas song that comes on the radio, okay? And it's not even like 1, 2, 3. You can just say that they're all number 2. Christmas music is number 2. So I'm worn out with Christmas music already. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way I do. Honestly, I'm already worn out with traveling, and I still have a trip with my family to Kansas City for Christmas time, okay? But that's all a part of it, right? And that's a part of what Christmas is. And then we take that, and we try to remember to celebrate the birth of Jesus in the middle of that. And we try to remember the story. But what I want us to do today is I want us to take just a few minutes, and I want us to consider a different perspective on why Christmas is, on why we celebrate Christmas, on why we should celebrate Christmas, and the significance of the birth of Jesus Christ. We already saw here that it wasn't just a birth of a baby, it was the birth of God into the world, bringing light into the darkness. And so then we're going to look somewhere else and we're going to see what else it is. And I want to challenge you guys with one simple statement, okay? I want to challenge you to think about the Christmas story this way. Not just about the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, I like to write. I really love writing. And I love coming up with the stories. But there's got to be a core message in your story. There's got to be a theme for your story. If you read a book, you should be able to pick one conclusive theme out of that book. And even with all the side stories, that one theme should be what can stick in your mind above anything else. Lately, as I've been trying to become a better public speaker so that I can present the Word of God to you better, I have been trying to pull one thing on a weekly basis from the Word of God and really make it stick, not just in your life, but in my life, because I'm studying this and I want to know it too. And so we should have something we can pull out of the Word of God as we read it. And man, this really sticks with us. And so if you like to read books, or if you like me, you like to watch movies, you can give a generalized theme. If you really enjoyed a movie, I could walk up to you and say, sum that movie up in 1 to 2 sentences, and likeliness is that as long as you could subside your excitement for how great the movie was, you could. Okay? Because you have this ideal, this generalized theme behind the story. So here's an ideal, a generalized theme behind the story of Christmas that I want us to maybe just consider. And instead of Christmas just being about the birth of Jesus, just being about the manger story and the traveling and everything it is, let's consider that maybe the Christmas story really is a loving Father's perfect plan to bring His children home. See, the story of Christmas doesn't start just with the birth of Jesus. Because at the moment of the first sin that came into the world, God immediately began creating a plan to bring His kids home. He said, my kids are lost. They're blind. They're angry. They're prideful. They're going through some teenage angst stuff right now. Sorry, teenagers. I was there. And they want to be distant. They want to run away. But I love them too much to leave them to die. I want to bring them back into my house, God says. I want to bring them home. And so He immediately begins coming up with this plan for us. And He puts little pieces of it together in the Old Testament. He gives us some rules we should follow. He gives us some guidelines. He gives us this ability to find temporary forgiveness of sin. Okay, by sacrificing animals and things like that. Along the way, He puts some people in our path called prophets, and these prophets aren't their job. Number one job is not to tell the future. Okay, we've taken in our culture this word prophet and said, oh, it's a fortune teller, it's a future teller. That's what Hollywood tells you. God says a prophet is a person who hears from God and speaks that truth to other people. Okay, so He puts these prophets in our way, and along the way they keep giving us these subtle hints about Jesus. And if you ever really want to get into some deep Bible study, man, you can all this stuff that you read in the Matthew, Mark, and John about Jesus was hinted at in the Old Testament. I mean, literally, there was times where it said, He will be born of a virgin. Okay? He will be called Emmanuel. He will be born in Bethlehem. He will come out of Egypt, which they actually lived in Egypt for a while. And so He hints all this stuff at us, and He says, I have this plan for you. And He continues to lay out His plan and continues to lay out His story. And it was all surrounded around the idea that our loving Father cared so much about us. This is the God who got so angry at one point, He almost wiped humanity off the face of the earth. And He said, no, I love them too much. I'm going to give them another shot. And He said, I have this plan, this perfect plan to bring my children home. Here's the thing I'm asking today. I'm not asking for your theology. I'm not asking for you to agree with everything I say on this stage. I'm not looking to create debates over the issues in our government. I'm not looking to create debates over the issues of our Constitution and whether or not Jesus is the inspiration there in Christianity. I'm not looking to create debates over Supreme Court decisions. I'm not looking to condemn you for your life or for your actions. I'm not looking for you, if you are a Christian, to leave here today and condemn others or to be pumped up to convict others or to persecute others. But there's enough people in this world just feeding negative. We don't need to do it too. Okay? I'm not here today to make some huge, bold theological statement or some huge, crazy, out of the ordinary thing that I want to step on your toes with. I'm simply here today to tell you that there is a God that loves you. And we are told in John 3:16, it says this, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son." Let me just stop for a minute and tell you. This here, John 3:16 and verse 17 as well, is Jesus' version of the story of His birth. Okay? These are the words of Christ. He's speaking to a guy named Nicodemus, and he begins to talk about why He was born. And it says, God loved the world so much that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have eternal life. Now listen to this next one. God did not send His Son into the world to condemn the world, like many people want to think. God didn't bring His Son, didn't send Jesus to condemn us, to give us a set of rules to follow, to tell us that we were guilty, to wag His finger at us. That's not why He's here. He did not send His Son to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through Him. When you look at whatever you want to, a Christmas tree, a Christmas gift, the lights, the nativity scene, and you think about the birth of Jesus Christ, realize that that was not the end of anything. It was the beginning of everything. And we see God give us this perfect plan, this perfect idea, salvation. And it's a free gift that He gives to us today. Now, there's really two different types of people in this world. And those type of people are not categorized on race. They're not categorized on gender, on class, social class, on how much money they make, on how old they are. They're categorized simply as this: those who have received the gift of Christ and those who haven't. Because of sin, we're all on the same level. We're all dying. We're all doomed. We are all condemned. Okay? It's an even playing ground. And Christ says, here I am. You can take me or you can leave me. But I love you. And I'm here for you. And so we got two groups of people. You have those who have accepted Christ and those who haven't. Let me speak first to those who haven't accepted Christ, if that happens to be you here today. Let me reiterate what I've been saying already. Let me tell you again that there is a God who loves you. There is a God who wants to work these issues out in your life. There is a God who wants to give you forgiveness of your sin, who wants to remove your guilt, who wants to help you find joy over anger, who wants to give you this huge, amazing, real life. And when He gave His Son to us on Christmas Day, on the actual Christmas Day, on the actual birthday of Christ, He began the process of bringing you to Him. And He gives you this open door where He's just waiting for you. And then the second group of people. If you are in here today and you claim to be a follower of Christ, I will ask you this question again that I have asked you a million times. What are you doing with that gift? See, when I got gifts, I love this shirt, so I wore it today. I wore it because it was my Christmas gift. I brought my knife because I wanted to show it off, okay? I changed my wallet out, okay? I wanted to. When we went yesterday, one of the things I got Shanda was this t-shirt. It was a Darth Vader t-shirt, and she wore it. Not even because it had Darth Vader on it, but because it was soft and it was comfortable. And she's like, look at my new shirt. You know, yesterday when the little kids are opening presents, I'm just waiting. Come on, somebody have a zip tie. Somebody have a zip tie. I just want to cut a zip tie, you know. I just want to cut something open with my new knife, right? I wanted to show off my gift. I wanted to show it off. I wanted to say, look at this. Isn't this awesome? Here's the difference, though. I'm not going to give you this. I'm keeping this one. But I have this gift that is Christ, and I should be wanting to show it off everywhere I go. Why? Because there's a second group of people who don't have this gift. It's free. You do not have to redeem it. You do not have to have a coupon code. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to put it on credit. You don't have to put it on layaway. You don't even have to get on a website, man. You don't even have to own a cell phone to get this gift, okay? Guess what? You don't have to come to church to get this gift. All you have to do is say, yes, I want it. But guess what? Someone's got to take that gift to them. So if you're in here today and you don't have that gift, here it is. I give it to you. It's free. All you have to say is, yes, I want it. For those of us who say we have it, we have just a couple days from Christmas. Let's go share this gift with somebody else. Let's go tell someone about the light that pierced the darkness. Let's go share with someone about the God who loves us more than anything in this world. I told you I was going to try to be short and sweet this week. My prayer today, guys, is I don't want to just give you this generic, remember the reason for the season. Remember that Jesus came. I want you to say this, remember that God died for you. That He overcame death for you. That He gave you a gift with an unlimited supply to give to other people. And if you don't have that gift yet, it's the best gift you can find. Let's pray. Gracious Father, thank you for your Son who came into this world, God, who twice in a row has pierced through the darkness of this world. God, I know that someday